Good evening, everybody. My name is April Young. I'm the Executive Vice President of Operations and Sales here at Sinceri Senior Living. I'd like to personally take a moment to thank you all for attending our first virtual event. This evening's topic is how to pay for senior living options. At Sinceri Senior Living, it's our personal and professional obligation to be the ultimate expert. And when it comes to being the expert, we really found it's really important to do all that we can to make sure that everybody understands all the different financial solutions available for senior living that are out there. When we're talking to different family members and decision makers, three main things constantly come up. The first thing that usually comes up, or the first question that we gather, is when is it time to make a move into senior living? The second question that typically comes up is how can we pay for independent assisted living and memory care solutions? And then lastly, the third question that comes up from decision makers from time to time is how do we start these conversations with our loved ones if they're not really wanting to potentially consider senior living options? We hope during this first session that you walk away with all the expert information to really help you make an informed choice with understanding the solutions that are out there from a financial perspective. This evening, our seminar is going to include resourceful information on how to sell your home, veterans benefits that are available, also insurance solutions, and potential bridge financing. At Sinceri, we currently have the privilege of caring for over 5,100 residents over 21 states throughout the United States, and it'd be our honor and privilege to potentially help you and any of your family members. With that being said, our first panel expert this evening is Karen Nelson from Second Act Financial. Karen is the Executive Vice President of Partner Services. Karen, would you like to go ahead and take it away? And I forgot to mention also, if you have any specific questions during the course of our educational seminar this evening, there is in the toolbar on the right-hand side of your screen, a questions feature. If you just click that, you'll be able to type in the area and we'll field questions after each presenter concludes their portion of the presentation. Thank you, and we can't wait to hear your questions.
Awesome. Thanks for the introduction, April. Hi, everyone. I'm Karen Nelson. As April said, I am the Executive Vice President of Partner Success for Second Act Financial Services. We are very privileged to have our partnership with Sinceri Senior Living in order to help create some easy to understand solutions to help seniors and their families when they're moving into a community. We really have put together what we feel like is a group of solutions, as April was saying, that will help families and seniors be able to look at real estate solutions, veterans benefits partnerships, insurance solutions, and bridge loan solutions. We really take the holistic mindset, and our mission is to really try to help support the seniors and their families as they're making this journey to make a decision to move into independent retirement living, assisted living, or memory care. So what I'm going to go over a little bit is about our partnership, which I've already mentioned, how we help seniors and families, why families across the U.S. trust us, who we are, an overview and an introduction to our additional support services that we've talked about, and then, as April said, to answer some questions as we go. So Second Act is part of a division of Liberty Savings Bank, and that is a national bank that is FDIC insured with OCC oversight. And why is that important? It means that we must comply with all of the very strict banking regulations that are out there to ensure that we are taking care of our seniors, who we know have very vulnerable statuses, some of them, and with the families who are trying to help support their loved ones in making their decisions. The bank has been around since 1889. Their average client is 64 years old, so they understand what it's like to be in the process of trying to make decisions, either for yourselves to move into retirement living or for your family loved one that is getting ready to move into assisted living or memory care. What we want is cost-effective, easy to understand solutions, and we feel like we've been able to do that. And what that'll help is for you to be able to move into the community of your choosing with Sinceri immediately instead of having to wait. And sometimes the wait becomes too long. So there's 10 ways that families tell us that we have helped with our bridge financing solutions. And our bridge financing solutions is basically a home equity. We have two solutions. One is a home equity line of credit that you can tap into the equity of your home. We are able to do a loan against that so that you can have the monthly fees and services that you need in order to be able to move into a Sinceri community while you're waiting for that home to sell. And we know that just making that decision to move is stressful for everyone, and trying to figure out the dynamics of moving into the community and what do I do with my house, and how do I price my house, and how do I stage it if I've lived there for a long, long time. And sometimes when the kids are involved, they're trying to figure out, what do we keep for mom and dad? What do the kids take? What are we, going to sell? And all of that adds additional stress. We're able to help by doing this home equity line of credit to allow you to tap into that and take your time. And now with the real estate market taking a bit of a downward trend because the interest rates have gone up to 7% for prime. So the real estate market that we've been used to having, that where we have incredible easy turnover in the selling of real estate, that's slowed down. And so now it's going to take a little bit longer for that to happen. It's going to take a little bit longer for that house to be ready. And we want to be able to give you that time to do that. On the VA side, a lot of times there is no home for sale, and the veteran is waiting for those VA benefits to kick in. The second way that we can help you is with our unsecured personal line of credit. So if you're a veteran or a spouse of a veteran and you need to apply for VA aid and attendance, we have that help, which I'm going to introduce you to in just a little bit. But we also have that unsecured line of credit that will help bridge that gap while you're waiting for VA benefits to fund. And we can do that unsecured line of credit for up to the monthly amount that you're going to be getting when those VA benefits arrive. And what does that mean? It means that you have the ability to move into the community now rather than waiting the number of months that it takes for that VA benefit to kick in. So the other thing that happens a lot of times is families don't know that they have some financial options like what I'm talking about with you, and they are all pooling their resources together. The siblings all get together and say, well, I can put 500 in and they can put 600 in and I can put another 500 in, and they pool their resources in order to help bridge that financial gap. And sometimes that creates extra stress on those families, because why? What happens when the dynamics change and maybe that month they don't have that extra $500? By being able to tap into either our home equity line of credit or that unsecured VA personal line of credit, the families don't have to worry about pulling resources together. One of the other things that we can help with is not having the senior liquidating their investment portfolio. And I know, again, everybody is worried about the economy right now and the tightening of the economy. And, their investments maybe have taken a downward trend, and maybe they've lost some of the money that they have had invested. And so that makes the seniors and the families reluctant to do anything else with those investment portfolios. Taking a loan out against that portfolio may or may not be the best solution, because then it ties up those that portfolio. And if you look at divesting of something that hasn't fully matured, like an annuity or a CD, there's generally penalties on those. And in all things, there might be a tax hit that you have to worry about. So again, we have those different solutions where we're able to help without that having to happen. There's times when we've act as a crisis backup plan for somebody. So we've had two spouses moving into the community, maybe perhaps where one needs to have care and the other one's going, but maybe independent. And they're going because they've been together for so many years and they want to stay together. What's happened in a couple of situations is that we've had one of the spouses. In two of the situations, it was the spouse that was actually the caregiver for the person that actually needed the care that passed away suddenly. And it kind of just stopped everything. The surviving spouse was grieving. The kids were grieving. They knew that mom needed to get into the community because dad had passed away and there was no caregiver trying to take care of them anymore in their home. And so we were able to step in and very quickly help them with that home equity line of credit and be able to allow them to move forward, get mom into the community, and then figure the dynamics out of all the rest of them. We've also served as a contingency plan. So sometimes families will come to you and say, we've got an offer on our house and it's going to go, so we're going to go ahead and make a commitment and make a move-in date, and then the sale falls through. And it happened recently where they had an offer on the house. When the buyers went to lock in the interest rate on their new mortgage, they no longer qualified for that level of house, meaning they didn't have extra money to put down and they no longer qualified from a mortgage standpoint because the interest rate made it to a point where they couldn't afford that mortgage anymore. We also help in situations where sometimes if one of the spouses needs to go into memory care and the other spouse is still independent and living at home, but the asset is their house and they need to tap into that. We've been able to do that home equity line of credit that allowed, and this just happened recently, allowed the gentleman to put his wife in memory care, tap into the house equity, give him enough time to think about what his long-term plan was going to be, and then execute that plan. And in this case, he came back a few months later and said, I'm going to sell my house. I got my wife where she needs to go. I'm going to put the house up for sale, and then I'm going to go rent an apartment near my kids, near my wife, and then I'll have all the money that I need to help take care of her. So we've been able to help in that situation. The adult children that are involved a lot in your conversations with you, you know, they're stressed out too. You know, they're trying to do the right thing by mom or dad. They've got lives of their own. They have jobs, they have kids, they have soccer, they have this, they have that. And they're smart people and they know there's a path. They just don't know how to get down the path, and we can help them with that. So when you have also in some situations, you have, you know, families and seniors that say they want this particular apartment, you know, I want to move into this 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and it becomes available, and you get a phone call from the community that says, we have your 2-bedroom, 2-bath available. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, shoot, I haven't done anything with trying to do anything with my home. And in that case, you want to be in the community and take advantage of that apartment that you've been waitlisted for, so we can step in and help you with that as well. So the typical options you have, and I've talked about these, is a regular home equity line of credit. We're kind of, I call it kind of a hybrid. So sometimes families and seniors say to us, well, I'm just going to go down the street to Wells Fargo and I'm going to get my home equity line of credit from Wells Fargo. And we say, yeah, please feel free to check it out. What happens generally when they go to Wells Fargo and they tell Wells Fargo, I'd like to borrow, I'd like to do a home equity line of credit, and they're like, great, we'd love to help you. And then they say, what are you going to use it for? And when you say, I'm going to use it to move into a senior living community and then I'm going to put my house up for sale and sell it, most of the big banks say no. They say they don't want to, and they don't want to because they want that loan to be open for at least a year. With us, we know that most of these loans are usually open between 2 and 6 months max. And usually I would say probably the average is maybe 3 to 4 months, because what happens is the senior transition moves into the community. The house, if it needs to have some things fixed up on it, gets fixed up. It looks good, it gets listed, and it sells. And Liberty Savings Bank is okay with that. But most big banks will tell you no. We already talked about loans against your investment portfolio and how that can be risky. We talked about liquidating securities and assets, and we talked about the tax implications with that. We talked about families pooling their resources and sometimes how the dynamics of that don't always work. And then the last but not least is the whole reverse mortgage. And you know, there are sometimes when perhaps a reverse mortgage is a good thing, but there are other times when it's not. And some of that has to do with generally reverse mortgages have higher costs, higher filing costs when you're getting the reverse mortgage, higher interest rates. You have to live in it if you have a reverse mortgage. There is no, I'm not living in it and having a reverse mortgage, which means then the house can't be up for sale. And then the other thing is you're really not making any type of payments at all, not interest payments, not anything against the fees. And so it steadily increases what you owe on that house. So having our options of having this hybrid home equity line of credit and having this VA unsecured line of credit give you two options that perhaps are better than what these traditional options have been. I want to play a real short video for you that will help you understand that this is extremely easy to work with Second Act Financial Services in applying for a home equity line of credit. You only use what you need. You only pay small interest payments on what you actually use. And when your house sells, it's very easy. The loan gets paid off. So here is Sam.
This is Sam. Sam would like to move to a senior living community now that her kids are all grown up and out of the home. She has found the community of her choice and is super excited about making the move. The senior living community she has chosen requires a monthly service fee of $5,000 per month and a one-time community fee of $5,000 at move-in. Sam would like to sell her home and use the money from her home sale to pay her senior living community rent and services. But selling a home takes time and can be incredibly stressful. She needs to clean it, fix a few things, select a realtor, and then list it. She has to be ready to leave her home at a moment's notice if a buyer wants to come by. Professional photographs need to be taken, open houses need to be held, offers must be considered. And once a buyer is chosen, it takes time for the buyer to finish their mortgage process to close. Trying to sell the home and make the move at the exact same time can be a stressful experience. Sam wants to move into her senior living community first, so she can begin to enjoy all the services her community offers and have an easier time selling her home for the highest and best price. She can do that with a Second Act Financial Services home equity line of credit, or HELOC for short. The Second Act Financial Services HELOC acts as a bridge loan, enabling her to borrow from her home equity to make the move now, while her home is being marketed, without the hassle of having to run out every time the home needs to be shown. She can obtain this bridge loan even if her home is listed, something most HELOCs at the big banks don't allow. The founding team at Second Act Financial Services has experience helping thousands of retirees moving to thousands of senior living communities across the USA over the past 20 years. So, they created a HELOC bridge loan program specially focused on retirees who want to make the move to the senior living community of their choice. With Second Act Financial Services, Sam can enjoy the best of both worlds. Use her bridge loan to obtain the cash she needs for her monthly service fees at her senior living community, and take her time to list and sell her home at the best possible price, creating an experience with less stress and more joy for Sam's Second Act.
So I think this gives a really good overview of what that home equity line of credit looks like. Sorry. And the next one I'm going to talk about then is the unsecured personal loan that bridges VA benefits. And I'm going to show you this little video here. This is Victoria, who is a surviving spouse.
This is Victoria. Victoria and her family have settled her new home in a senior living community. Victoria has been living in an apartment for a few years since her husband passed away. They were married for 40 years. Her husband, John, served in the Army during the Vietnam War. Victoria needs a little assistance with her activities of daily living. Everyone agrees moving into her local senior living community is the best solution. Victoria is looking forward to moving in and meeting new friends. To help her pay for senior living, Victoria and her family learned she was eligible for the Veteran Aid and Attendance Benefit. This is a wonderful benefit that can help seniors pay for a part of their senior living care. So they decided to apply. But applying and waiting for the benefit takes time. Victoria's family wants her to move into her senior living community now while they wait for the benefits to arrive. They asked their senior living community if there is a way they can pay for the gap in her cost of care while they wait. That's when the friendly folks at Victoria's senior living community told her about Second Act. Second Act is a senior-focused division of Liberty Savings Bank, a family-owned bank in Ohio focused on helping seniors nationwide access quality senior living. Second Act can help Victoria move into her community now so she can begin enjoying all her community's services while receiving the support she needs and deserves. The founding team at Second Act has experience helping thousands of seniors move into senior living communities across the USA over the last 20 years. Second Act's unsecured loan for senior living acts as a bridge loan to help Victoria and her family pay for senior living while they wait for the VA aid and attendance benefit to arrive. Victoria can borrow up to the expected monthly benefit amount each month and make much smaller interest-only payments on what she's borrowed. Usually families like Victoria choose to pay back what they borrowed once the retroactive benefit payment arrives, creating an experience with less stress and more joy for Victoria's Second Act.
So again, this explains very easily what it would mean to work with Second Act Financial Services and getting this done for you. So on how fast can we do this? On the home equity line of credit, we have the ability to decision a yes or a no within 24 hours and fund in 7 to 10 business days. There's no age restriction. We've lent on these from people that were 55 moving into retirement communities up to 95. So there's no age restriction. And with the home equity line of credit, because there's an asset involved, which is AKA the home, then the income level of that senior really doesn't come into play. It really only comes into play when we look at the veteran's personal line of credit. And in that case, we do look at income and we can do decisioning on that within 24 hours and we can fund to the community within 24 to 48 hours. What it means is that you can move in now, not worry about having to have all the money that you need in order to do that, which means that you get the care that you need if you're moving into assisted living or memory care. You get the great socialization in any of the venues. And the other thing is you don't get bounced around. We have what we call lending chaperones that you work with, and there are bankers, and we have a dedicated group that works only with Second Act who understands senior living and understands the journey that the resident and the families are going through. And this lending chaperone works with you from beginning to end. This is just an easy way to show you how affordable it is. So let's say you need $4,000 monthly for your rent, and we say for 6 months. When you look at this, it shows you your monthly payment. So on the first month, we send $4,000 to the community. Your monthly interest payment is only $33. On the second month, it's $66. There's a one-time loan origination fee here of $718. That gets rolled into the loan so that you're not coming out of pocket. But you can see if for some reason, let's say, your home sold in month 2, you've only used $8,000. Therefore, you've only paid interest on the $8,000 versus in a typical home equity line of credit, they fund all of it at once and then you start paying on it. You only pay the interest on what you use when you're working with Second Act and doing that home equity line of credit. We work again in partnership with Sinceri. They have a website landing page that they all have access to be able to help you go through. If you would like to work with us, I would suggest that you contact the community and speak with their sales team. They can help you connect directly with us. If you have questions, we're here to help answer those questions. And last but not least, there's a way for them and yourself, if they send you a link to the website, to be able to schedule to speak directly to our lending chaperones directly. And you just find a time that's convenient for you on the calendar and put your information in, and then our lending chaperones will reach out to you either via video chat if you want to chat face-to-face, or via phone. The other things that I wanted, there were 2 questions that were sent in. One of them asked about, they wanted advice on using their parents' savings to build an addition on their house and have them move in and provide 24/7 care. And they wanted some advice on that. My advice would be that it's got to be a personal decision. You have to look at all the different angles and aspects that go with that. You know, the added extra stress that it will add on to the rest of the family, including, you know, the kids that are living there, maybe even the grandkids that are living there. And then dealing with constantly finding the right staff to take care of your loved one in that other part of your household. And what happens when someone doesn't show up or somebody calls out sick, then you're left with all of that. But it truly becomes a pro-con list and a personal decision. Somebody asked about the Able Now program, and to be honest with you, I had never heard of it, so I'm not familiar with it as an expert. I would suggest that if you have that type of tax advantage savings account, that you go back to whoever the advisor is that gave you that information and signed you up for it, and ask those questions, because I honestly don't have them. And are there any other questions, April or Missy, that came up?
I believe we've answered those, so we should be great.
Awesome. Okay. Well, then I am going to turn this over to Steve Dunleavy. He is with our real estate options.
All right. Looks like I got the floor now. All right. Thank you, Karen. Like you said, my name is Steve Dunleavy. I'm the National Real Estate Coordinator with Second Act. So thanks everybody for joining in tonight. And I'll be handling all the real estate stuff here. So I've got a pretty quick agenda. I'll just go over it real quick here. I'll just give you a quick introduction on myself. We're going to talk a little bit about the real estate market on a national level. I know it's, you know, it kind of exists in little pockets, but we'll talk about national level. I'll talk about the service that we provide and how that can help you. And then if you have any questions, happy to answer any of those. So if I'm talking and you have a question, you're welcome to use the chat function and send that in. If not, you'll have my personal information at the end, so you can go ahead and just reach out to me, you know, email, text, phone call if you'd like to. So, all right, Karen, go ahead and roll me over there. Okay, so just a little bit about me. I've been in the business for about 15 years. I've worked in all different aspects of the real estate business. I've been, you know, an individual agent. I've had a team of agents. I've run brokerages. I think the thing that's probably, you know, most beneficial for this particular niche is I've worked in the relocation, corporate relocation, relocating military. So I'm familiar with working kind of in a niche market of people who have specific needs when they're moving. So I've seen the business from a lot of different angles, which has really been beneficial. So, all right, Karen, you go ahead and roll that one. So, you know, looking at the real estate market on a national level, I think a lot of people are familiar with what's going on in the last couple of years, but just to summarize it, 2020 through about halfway through, or not halfway, about a quarter of the way through 2022, really has been a record market. I mean, everything was selling quickly. The number of homes sold was at historic highs. The price of homes was at historic highs. The number of foreclosures was virtually non-existent. So that's been the best market we've had in a very long time. So I think now when people are talking about what's happening actually today, they're comparing it to maybe the best real estate market we've ever had. You know, first quarter of this year, we saw interest rates start to creep up. Inflation was going up. So those two factors really, you know, kind of stopped the market in its tracks, which I think was kind of a good thing, because things were escalating at a crazy rate in terms of the number of properties sold. There just was no inventory because things were selling so fast and prices were escalating. So you know, it kind of got us back into a neutral market. You know, people complain about the market because they're comparing it to such a great market, but it's really been, you know, more of a balanced market. It's not necessarily a buyer's market still. It's not really a seller's market. I think it's really pretty balanced. You know, homes are still selling. It's just not that crazy market we've had in the last 2 years. So I don't think anybody wants to go back to that. So, you know, my last little part of the slide here is the rising inflation and the rising interest rates equals less purchasing power. Less purchasing power equals fewer buyers and more housing inventory. So it shifts a little bit to more of a buyer's market than it was, which was a seller's market. So, okay, that's kind of, you know, and if you have a question about your market specifically, just reach out. I'm happy to talk specifically to where you're located. But what we offer and the service that I provide, I mean, I know everybody knows an agent, but I work specifically in this niche market. So the way it works is if you have a need, you have a house to sell, we'll link up. I'll do an interview and find out exactly what your needs are, a little bit about your house, your expectations. But the real value is in the additional services that you need. So most of our clients need, you know, either moving services, repair services, and typically we're dealing with somebody who has a house that has maybe, you know, a lifetime of stuff collected in it, and that stuff needs to be either parsed out, given away, junk, you know, and then the house typically needs a little more work than our typical agent or our typical sale. So what I do is once I've met and I've figured out what your needs are, I go on your behalf and start interviewing agents and say, hey, this is the situation. And then I start vetting them to see, are they qualified? You know, and I can speak to them agent to agent and just say, hey, this is more work than your typical sale. And I make sure that they have the services that you need. So when they get there, they're not, you know, they're not searching for people to help you. So that really, my work is kind of behind the scenes, just vetting and interviewing, and then I'll present you with a couple of agents and say, hey, of these 2 or these 3, talk to each one of them, you know, get comfortable and see if one of those is somebody that you want to work with. You know, we really stress, obviously, you know, having the services that our folks need, but communication, not only communication with our clients, but with our clients' extended family, and just trying to keep everybody in the loop, because it's undoubtedly a stressful time for a lot of folks, and we want to make it as smooth a process as we can. So that's what we do. I don't know if any questions came in, but anybody ask anything? If not, you've got my contact information here. You're welcome to send me an email, call me, text me. Happy to answer anything, any real estate related questions you might have. So that's all I've got. If nothing else came in.
No questions, Steve. Thank you.
Okay, then we'll move on to Mally Covington with Patriot Angel.
Thank you, Steve. I'll be pretty brief today. I just want to give a refresher on some veterans benefits that are out there. Patriot Angels, we are a company located right outside of Nashville, Tennessee, but we work nationwide. We can help a veteran or a spouse of a veteran wherever they are. We specialize specifically in aid and attendance. So for our families that are looking to have their veteran in their life, or the spouse of a veteran moved into senior living, independent, assisted memory care, assisted community, this is going to help those individuals pay for monthly care costs, so rent, additional services, things like that. So there's some basic requirements I want to touch on. The first is going to have to do with the veteran service. This is a pension from the VA that's considered a benefit for wartime veterans. So when I say that, it's just going to be that they have 90 days of active military duty, and then one day needs to fall within a period of war. Medical, honorable, general discharge is what we look for there, cannot have been dishonorable. And then, 65 or older, or 100% disabled. When I do say 100% disabled, if they're getting 100% in VA disability, that individual is already getting more with that than they would get from aid and attendance, so they should stick with that. This is more so if someone doesn't get that, but is completely unemployable. That's what we're looking for as far as 100% disabled in that aspect. Like I mentioned earlier, this benefit works for spouses too. So if your loved one is a surviving spouse, if someone moving into your community is a spouse of a veteran, when you do your kind of discovery with them, check to see that they were married to the veteran at least a full year. That is a requirement. A lot of our spouses that we speak with, they laugh when we ask that because, you know, they've been married to the veteran 50 years. But we do have to ask because I spoke myself with a woman who was married to a veteran for 6 months, had a massive heart attack, and she never remarried. So we do have to check on that. And again, about the remarriage, if the veteran passes, that spouse has to remain unmarried after their passing and can never have divorced the veteran for them to be able to qualify. So that's what we look at as far as who we can help. Now, there are some financial requirements too that are attached with aid and attendance specifically. You know, there is a look back period as well. That's 3 years, but they just want to see that whoever we're helping, the veteran or the spouse, isn't over 100. It's going up now for 2023, an asset limitation of 150,000. So that's what they look at. Now, I have the current amounts, the 2023 amounts here. That's going to be $2,050 for our well, these are 2022, but they're going up 8.7%. So that's about to be $22.29. That's going to be $26.42 for a married veteran. That's going to be $14.32 for our spouse. And then the maximum benefit for aid and attendance is going to be when we have a veteran that is married to another veteran. In that instance, both of their service times do need to qualify, meaning they both had to serve at least 90 days of active duty with the 1 day during wartime for them to qualify for going up now for $35.36 for 2023. So just be on the lookout for that increase. That's going to start January 1st, but we did get those new numbers, so they're going up quite a bit, which we're happy about. This benefit is a reimbursement benefit. So I'm really happy that Karen touched on it earlier when she was going over Second Act about, you know, the loan being able to bridge that gap between the wait time from, you know, applying for the benefit and actually coming in. Patriot Angels, what we do, we're a third-party company that basically assists with the application process. So, you know, for a family that's trying to do this on their own, it could be 13 months. They wait. If it gets approved, great. Now they, you know, owe a lot to the community, right? But with our average turnaround time being about 97 days for once we file for the VA to look at the claims that we send forward and to give it an approval, if they were, you know, moved into the community paying out of pocket, they were able to use that loan to then, you know, cover those costs at the community. For us to be able to submit their application and for the VA to approve it, you have to be moved into the community at time of filing. So that's where I think that that bridge loan from Second Act would come in helpful because you have to be moved in for you to be able to be approved for the benefit. Now, what it is that we're going to do on our end to make sure that the veteran or the spouse that we are working with gets approved, one, we're going to screen them thoroughly. So unlike many times, you know, with the VA, you call in, you're going to speak to a lot of different people and get a lot of different answers. And we have teams that are dedicated all day, every day, just to screen our veterans and spouses calling in to make sure that they would meet the requirements. That way, kind of weeding out, you know, if this is a benefit for you, at least you know that, right? You know that you're not going to waste time applying for it and them not approving you. So our first call with our intake team is about 10 to 15 minutes. We're asking the basics, right? When did the veteran serve? You know, what kind of care does mom or dad need? How much are they going to be paying for it? And then, you know, kind of questions about their financials. You know, no sensitive information. We can deal with ballpark figures on that call. That's just a call just to get the feel of the situation. If they look like a good candidate from that call, they will be moved forward. They'll speak with a benefit advisor. This is a more detailed call specifically on their finances, just making sure that we're not going to move them forward, take them on as a client if there's anything specifically financially that would make them ineligible. Say that they have another property that we don't know about, annuities, IRAs, things like that. We really have to make sure we get the full disclosure on the front end before we start, submitting the application. The VA will find that. So with full disclosure, however, we do have a perfect success rate with those applications that we send forward, represent in front of the VA. They're able to make a quick approval just because we're going to give them everything that we need. Each client that we bring forward has their own designated claims coordinator. So that family just has that one person that they can call in, email. They won't have to be bounced around to a bunch of different people. They'll have their go-to person to submit some supporting documents like the veteran DD-214, some bank statements, things like that that are needed for the claim. But like I said, right now we're sending in about 97 days on average from the time we file to the VA approving our claims. So that's going to be about 3 months or so that they'll have to be at the community before that benefit comes in, and that bridge loan is going to help a lot. So I do not have a slide that has my contact information, but I was seeing earlier that if you hover over someone's name, it has their email. So if you hover over mine at the staff box, it'll have my email, and just reach out to me if you have a question. But we are sending out 2023 brochures with the updated pension amounts. Sincere communities will be getting those. So if you would like those, just stop by here in a couple of weeks to a community near you, and they should have them. But I want to go ahead and toss it over to Sarah Smith with Family Solutions for Care to go ahead and take.
Thanks, Mally. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tara Smith, and I'm the CEO of Family Solutions for Care. And I'm going to wrap up this evening with a very exciting topic, long-term care insurance claims. It is not sexy, but if you need it, you're going to be really happy that you have it. To begin with, it's important to understand or remember why your loved one or you purchased those and paid for those pesky premiums all these years. First, it was usually to have access to quality care, to choose the home health care or community that's the right fit for you. Second was to protect those hard-earned assets for yourself and your family. And third, and most importantly, was to avoid burdening your family and bring those, not to burden your family, and particularly your children, to make sure that your children, while they had to help manage some of your care, they didn't have to pay for it and didn't have to work behind the scenes to get a claim paid. So how does a claim get paid? It begins with understanding the policyholder's health in conjunction with the policy itself. Are they actually eligible? And if not, where in the gray area are they? Needing help with housekeeping or preparing food while covered by the policy does not trigger the policy. The only thing that triggers the policy to work for you is the activities of daily living or cognitive impairment. Once the health is understood, we apply the scenario to the legalese in that lengthy long-term care policy. We assess how to manage all the money the policy can pay in the most efficient and cost-effective way. Understanding the elimination periods, how they are applied, when they can start, and when benefits should begin is a financial situation. It involves not just your policy, but your pocketbook. Understanding anything around licensing, policy requirements, utilizing state statutes to support difficult approvals, that's our expertise. That's what we do well. We take the stress off you. There's no more waiting on holds for claims departments, no requesting claims documentation, confirming all the documents were received, no more waiting for emails and snail mail, practitioners, agencies, and providers to respond. The following up on month to month with various departments and representatives, we take that on. We also make sure you receive retroactive benefits when due. Over 50% of our clients have retroactive benefits, whether in elimination period days or dollars due to them. These days or dollars replenish assets already spent by the family. And finally, we create a strategy to move forward that's built on the needs and preferences of you, the client, including your monthly income, the longevity of your policy, and the changes that will occur as health progresses. We work as your advocate. We work with everyone involved to make sure there's an irrefutable claim presented and approved. We do so through an in-depth review of your current health needs, all the records, all the appropriate licensing. And if you're choosing an assisted living facility, we work with the facility to make sure your assessment and the level of care meets policy language. We use our relationships with insurance carriers to develop that we've developed over the last 12 years to bypass the long wait times, the legal review, and the investigation into denials and appeals. We streamline that process to get your claim dollars to you fast and without delay. Working with you in the home care agency, assisted living facilities, or nursing homes for that matter, as a team, we maximize your policy, and that's our goal. After approval, we continue monthly management, audit, work with you and your community to make sure to maximize the value of your policy. We prepare for your assessments. We review your care options as they may progress. And we manage the communication between you, the insurance company, and your community. Having an expert in long-term care insurance between you and the insurance company can be invaluable. Finally, we are the experts. For over 12 years, we have worked with clients across the nation, not just filing claims, but delivering on the promise made when those policies were sold. With 30 years of experience, our claims specialist becomes your best friend managing the stress so you don't have to. We offer a no-cost policy review to allow you to plan for the future and decide whether we are right for you. The best time to set up a call to review is now, to get a plan and strategy into place to make sure that you have access to quality care, protect your assets, and most importantly, avoid the burden of managing all of that to your family and the costs that come with it. Wouldn't it be great to have an expert that could help you with such a sexy topic? Let me know if we can help. April, back to you.
Thank you, Tara. It's Missy. So it looks like we did have one question come through, Mally, for you on VA benefits. The question is, can the surviving spouse of a veteran apply for these funds after their funds have run out in paying for senior living?
Yes, so I think I might have sent the answer privately to Carol, but yes, they can apply once they've moved into the community. Again, you have to be financially responsible for care in order for them to approve your benefit. But yeah, you don't have to wait till all your funds are depleted. As long as you are under the asset cap, which is going up to $150,000 for 2023, as long as they're under that, and then that spouse meets all the other requirements. The veteran service was 90 days, active duty 1 day during a period of war. Yes, they can apply then. They don't have to wait till their funds are completely depleted. Just got to be under that asset cap.
Okay, thank you. If there are any other questions, please feel free to submit through the question tab, and we'll get those answered. If not, we will be sending out a link to the recording of this webinar. You'll have information. You can contact the experts directly, or if you're already working with us in Siri Senior Living Community, you can reach out to the community and they'll help put you in contact as well. We did want to thank everybody for attending tonight's webinar. We know you're all very busy people. We hope that you found this to be informational. At Sinceri, we would like to extend an offer to anybody who attended the webinar. If you are a family member or you are a resident and you're working with us in Sinceri Community, we would like to offer $500 off first month's rent if you move in during the months of December or January. All you need to do is mention that you attended the webinar. So if anybody has questions about that, you can always reach out to myself. It's Missy Day. You can reach me at marketing@sincerisl.com or reach out to the community you're working with locally. And with that, we would like to thank everybody and hope that you have a great evening.